Dragons have long captured the imagination of many who delve into history and folklore. They are often large, legendary creatures that appear in folklore of multiple cultures around the world. In Western cultures, since the High Middle Ages, dragons have often been depicted as winged, horned, and capable of breathing fire. But could such creatures ever have existed? The village of Mordiford in Herefordshire, England, gives testament to what is believed to be a real tale of a young girl befriending a dragon. The village itself grew around an ancient ford over the River Lugg and has an aura of being connected to some unknown energy. The legend describes that the dragon is a wyvern and was found by a little girl named Maud, who had desperately wanted a pet. One day, while wandering the forest adjacent to the village, Maud had found a small bright creature with a snout and small translucent wings, prowling around a small group of flowers. Excited by the creature, the girl took it home to show her parents. Her mother and father immediately realised that the creature was a wyvern and instructed Maud to take it back where she had found it, because it would cause great trouble to the village. The outraged Maud pretended to obey, but instead hid the infant dragon in a safe place in the forest. There she nurtured it with milk, playing with it and watching it try to fly. The dragon grew vastly each month, eventually taking on an emerald hue and developing thick, powerful wings. After reaching maturity, the dragon's hunger would not be satisfied with milk anymore, and it now had a vast hunger for meat. It began to terrorise the local farms, killing their livestock, and farmers grew a deep hatred for the dragon. The farmers and village men tried to kill the beast, but failed, and it soon feasted upon them, finding human flesh appealing. During her visits, Maud implored the beast to stop its rampage, but the dragon refused to listen and killed everything in its way except for Maud, its only friend. The townspeople grew exhausted of the constant attacks from the dragon and, desperate, sought help from the nobleman of Mordiford. A man from the local Godstone family set out in full armour to end the beast's life forever, finding the dragon neatly camouflaged into the forest's many plants. The dragon instantly released a blast of fire, Godstone barely deflecting it. He aimed his lance at the wyvern's throat and charged. He hit his intended target, and his lance fully penetrated through the dragon's throat. Maud, insane with rage and grief, burst from the surrounding forest and came to mourn her dead dragon. In another account, the Mordiford dragon was more snake-like and lived in Hugh Woods for some years. The poisonous creature terrorised the area to the point where it decreased the working population of the town. Eventually, a local convict offered to kill the creature if he were given a pardon. The pardon was granted, and the convict acquired a bow, arrows, and a large cider barrel. He then went to the River Lugg, where the serpent drank its water and concealed himself in the barrel. Once the dragon arrived at the river, the convict shot the arrow through the hole in the barrel, piercing the creature's heart. But as the dragon died, its poison flowed into the barrel, killing the convict as well. The story of the dragon remains part of Mordiford's culture and is continually mentioned in modern records of the village. It was said that the dragon was not really killed, and it lived until 1811. A portrait of the dragon appeared on the walls of the main church of the village. A reproduction is still on display today. Dragons have been entrenched in British history, and the 12th century monk Geoffrey of Monmouth recounts a famous legend in his History of the Kings of Britain, in which the child prophet Merlin witnesses the Romano-Celtic warlord Vortigern attempt to build a tower on Mount Snowdon to keep safe from the Anglo-Saxons. but the tower keeps being swallowed into the ground. Merlin informs Vortigern that underneath the foundation he has built is a pool with 2 dragons sleeping in it. Vortigern orders for the pool to be drained, exposing a red dragon and a white dragon, who immediately begin fighting. Merlin delivers a prophecy that the white dragon will triumph over the red, symbolising England's conquest of Wales, but declares that the red dragon will eventually return and defeat the white one. This story remained popular throughout the 15th century and has found its way down to the modern age. Britain's patron saint, St. George, is also famous for the slaying of a great dragon. The legend may be referenced as early as the 6th century AD, but the earliest artistic representations of it come from the 11th century, and the first full account comes from roughly the same period by a Georgian text. The Golden Legend tells of a dragon who kept pillaging the sheep of the town of Selene in Libya. After it ate a young shepherd, the people were forced to placate it by leaving 2 sheep as sacrificial offerings every morning beside the lake where the dragon lived. Eventually, the dragon ate all of the sheep, and the people were forced to start offering their own children, who were chosen by lot. One day, the king's own daughter came up in the lot, and, despite the king's pleas for her life, she was dressed as a bride and chained to a rock beside the lake to be eaten. Then St. George arrived and saw the princess, falling in love with her. When the dragon arrived to eat her, he stabbed it with his lance and subdued it by making the sign of the cross and tying the princess girdle round its neck. St. George and the princess led the now docile dragon into town, and George promised to kill it if the townspeople would convert to Christianity. All of the townspeople converted, and St. George killed the dragon with his sword. In some versions, St. George marries the princess, but in others, he continues wandering. Tales of dragons can be found all over the world. Communalities between dragon traits are often a combination of feline, reptilian, mammal, and avian features. Scholars believe extinct or migrating crocodiles bear the closest resemblance, especially when encountered in forested or swampy areas, and are most likely the template of dragon imagery. Dragons are likely to continue capturing people's imagination for hundreds of years to come, but whether they have truly existed or not comes down to one question: do you believe?